Welcome to the Reinvent You show. I'm George.
I'm Azlan. It's about seeing everyday challenges
Differently. Well, I've got to tell you, I wrote a song last night
You wrote a song?
called Come, right? And it's about come to the center,
Right.
right? And it's such a strong theme to this topic. So I must have done it instinctively.
Right.
You know. And maybe we'll play it at the end because it kind of ties it all together. But the topic that I emailed you on is this world of gender, identity, and pronouns. For a long time, I've been watching this unfold. And it's easy to judge. It's easy to think, what's wrong with those people, on both sides. Like, each side will look at the other and go, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you letting me be who I want to be? And then the other side goes, what's wrong with you? Why are you denying your biology? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone doubles down and then it just perpetuates the divide. But then for some strange reason, each side starts to get more extreme against the other side because it's a genuine threat to them, right? And so I've watched this unfold and I didn't pay attention around how it started, how it got so global, how it ended up in government forms, the pronouns and all that. Like, it really infiltrated really quickly.
You're right.
And I wasn't really paying much attention. I just thought, oh, have I been living under a rock? Because this thing was just unfolding so fast.
Yeah, it was. We were working and my team member was the first person to come out in the bank as a trans. And there was like a whole education thing going on and people started using pronouns and there was a whole thing. And I felt really proud for her. But man, did I ask a lot of dumb questions that I shouldn't have asked. And then I think I felt like the education sessions the awareness sessions was as a result of me asking dumb questions to this person. And this person went, no, you can't ask me that. I was like, you can't. I was like, but anyway.
You can't ask me that.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a couple of
do you still have a willy?
No, I did. I said that. I said, are you going to do a sex change in Thailand? Are you going to cut it off? And then he went, no, I was like, you can't ask me that. And I was like, oh. And then I asked, oh, what about your parents? Like, are they okay with it? No, I was like, that's confidential.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I said, oh, what, are you going to wear makeup now? Are you going to wear panties and bras? I was like, again, man, stop. Like, okay, I get. I was genuinely. No, I was.
You were like a 6-year-old boy. Go.
Yeah.
Boys have a penis and girls have a vagina.
Yeah, I was very curious. Let's put it that way. In the wrong way, in a very innocent form. I wasn't trying to be.
See that. That's really funny.
But I said, are you going to come in with the dress tomorrow? Are you going to do your nails? Anyway, so you're right in saying that it spread really quickly. And then it was a big thing.
Yeah, it was. And if I look back and think, why didn't I, have a voice in that? Why didn't I, talk through it?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably because I could see that people were so polarized and intense about it.
Mm-hmm.
That it's very difficult to hold a conversation with someone who's too invested in one side emotionally with incredible intensity, And that also related to the level of the cancel culture that was happening so much, where people were being deplatformed, people were being ridiculed online.
Dave Chappelle, that professor as well. I remember there was one big professor got fired for saying something about challenging.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson or
sounds familiar.
Yeah, it could be him. But anyway, I just kind of just looked the other way. Right. Yeah. And look, my daughter through school, she'd come and she'd tell us things, and I could tell that she was very understanding and caring, but at the same time, I could tell there was friction and tension because being heterosexual became the minority in the energy of dynamics. Suddenly, she felt like she didn't matter.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're heterosexual, boring. I'm not even joking, but that's actually what. And then I thought to myself, wow, the subtlety of that is very telling, because how many people who were sick of feeling like they were nothing suddenly had a way to be something?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Because the percentage of trans it's been there for a long time, but suddenly it blew up and it started to exponentially grow.
You mean in schools?
Not just in schools. I'm talking about
Everywhere.
percentage of the population.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think part of that could be contributed to, we became more accepting, so more people could be open about it. So I'd appreciate. It's like gay, right? Apparently, it's been 10% of the population for like ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I know. And 10% seems high, doesn't it? It's like 10 people, it's going to be one gay guy or girl, right? And I just thought, okay, I need to understand this. Right? I thought, I really need to understand this. And so I used AI because I could be controversial with AI to test my gut instincts, my ideas, and AI would educate me and school me if I was reaching levels of ideas that were not really bound with principles and integrity. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So what I like about AI is you can just go, hey, I'm thinking this and this for this reason and that reason, and then AI will come back at you and go, yeah, but, and it'll give you really good stuff. And so now you're having a safe debate without being cancelled.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It was really good. It was really good. But right now I'm going to take you through a really weird process of how I reconciled this in myself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because I had to. To me,
why did it affect you so much?
Literally that question is where I'm at right now.
Right.
Why did it affect me so much? Because I love harmony. I love unity. I love cohesion. I love people being there for each other. I love understanding, compassion, alignment, flow. Because of that, any friction points that become really extreme and prolonged, like I said, I let fear let it happen longer within myself than I normally would, right?
Right.
But I deep dive into those because I want to know. Because look, I have this theory. Every time there is a divide, we're being conned. It's like the principle confrontation. Yeah, front the con. Like if we're confronting with conflict, we need to confront to find why we're conned into conflict. Because if you go deep down into all of us, what do we want? We want to matter. We want love. It's not rocket science. It's human science, right? We want the same thing. So how do we end up ideating, into views the opposite to the point where we really think that the other person's a danger to us and vice versa? It means there must be a lot of bullshit distorting our perceptions for us to think we are enemies to each other at the same time. Like imagine you are adamant you're good and you are adamant I'm bad. And at the same time, I'm adamant you're bad and I'm adamant I'm good. There's got to be a lot of bullshit between that, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Anyway, so I thought to myself first, the first principle is life, right? Existing. What allows us to exist here? A male, female sex function to procreate and bring in life. So already we know there's a mechanism that allows sustainability of a human race. It allows us to exist. So that is pretty powerful. We can't be sitting here arguing with each other about ideas that would make us collapse into non-existence. Do you know what I mean? Like there's got to be a better way to understand what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first tip off for me. It's like something's gone against biology. So let me just park that to the side. Let me now find out, well, why has that happened?
Right.
Yeah.
Also, you went all the way back. I see how you're
Yeah, I had to start from the beginning of the fundamentals.
Right.
It's like, what are we arguing about? We're arguing that someone doesn't want to be a male or female, even like the fluid pronouns. It's like, I don't want to belong in any gender role. And then I thought to myself, why is everybody saying, what is a woman? Oh, I can't answer that. Like all this stuff that was going on. And I thought, this is a definition problem. Obviously, people are playing with definitions and everybody's just layering their own context on that definition to create such a stark difference between the two. So then I went into the definitions and I went, okay, man, woman. Well, man, woman is the adult version, right, of a boy, girl, fine. But is that biology, sex function? Not really, because male, female is, right? So then I thought, okay, but why and how is it that we've attached the extension of man and woman, of boy and girl, from male, female, so that they are inseparable? You follow me?
No, not really. Inseparable.
Okay. So right now you can have electrical circuits with male, female. You can have all sorts of things with the understanding of function of male, female.
Right.
It's only when you get into social human interaction do you now change male, female into boy, girl, man, woman.
Right. Oh, okay.
You see?
Yeah.
It's the social layer that made us evolve the sex function into a gender extension.
I see what you mean.
And that was very telling for me. Sitting there seeing, hang on a minute, we extended, but why did we extend it? You see, isn't that interesting? Why did we extend it? Because how do you get socially people together to want to be together in a romantic relationship to then have a family? Because the social layer is the ushering into the biological connection, the physical connection, right? It's the sorting out of individuals into the union.
Right.
Right. And I thought, okay, that seems plausible and understandable. It's good. Like, I get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it left me with, but what about people suffering who just feel they're struggling and they don't feel gender fits them? Their gender fits them. Like, if you're a man and you think, no, I'm really a woman, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on there? Like, and then I thought, okay, they want to feel comfortable. They want to feel at home in something that feels true and right for them. And I thought, okay, how does gender fix that? And then I thought, well, it doesn't. But they have a right to feel good about themselves. They have a right to feel that what they think they are is true, you know? And I thought, okay, so what are they really after? Are they after the right gender, or are they after the feeling they think it will give them?
Ooh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And it is to know that they are authentic within themselves. They are finally into something that doesn't make them fight themselves, you know? And then I thought to myself, I think that's a spiritual, existential issue. And I think we're chasing something much deeper than gender, but gender became a distraction. It became, oh, maybe you need to be this gender instead of the gender you're in to solve your problem. Maybe you're this. And so if you're chasing your identity into ideas instead of coming into yourself to know you matter, right? And understanding that your role, your biological role, is not you, it's a role. You're in a flesh-bone body that nature has decided you might be a male, you might be a female. You know what I mean? And sometimes small percentage of people, it's mixed up, right? We know that. But generally, nature's trying to sort out the polarity, you know, to keep the species going. And so I'm thinking, wow. So basically, I kind of now took a step into the conservative lens to understand from their perspective why they're so upset with the pronoun, you know, movement. Then I stepped into the pronoun movement to look at why they're so upset with the conservative position. And then I it's what I sent you, you see. And I thought, wow. So basically, the conservative position says you are your gender and the biology will decide it.
Yeah.
And you are nothing
Male,
more
female.
than that. And you should just be it. Now, that is triggering for someone who knows spiritually they are more than that. But rather than try to rearrange the furniture and find the right gender, you see what I mean? Or make up one in between, you know, we needed to go deeper than that. Right? And then at the same time, for a conservative position to be hearing, I identify as a cat and I identify as a, you know, and then they get an upset for you not honoring, you know, who they decided to be. And it's like, hang on a minute, this doesn't feel right either, because that's not even sustainable, because everyone's just going to keep making up stuff and then they're going to be a victim to us somehow magically being able to pick and remember and just always on point, know who you really are.
Yeah.
You know?
We could be a penguin today and another person could be
Yeah. So just say you're fluid and today I'm a male, but tomorrow I'm a female, and by 2 a.m. I'm back to male. Like I just, you know, this stuff was happening. And the reason why it was getting more absurd is because they were trying on different genders. That's not it. Shit. That's not it. That's not it. Searching for that beautiful feeling that they belong, they matter, they're a part of everything, they're equal.
Wow.
Right? So then the conservative position went, how could you argue against the very biology that allows you to exist? Like, are you nuts? You know? And so therefore they'd call them mentally ill, right? But that label, mentally ill, is judging someone for suffering because they don't feel like they matter and they don't know how to feel like they belong. You see?
Ooh, I see what you mean.
So all they were doing is triggering each other. So what would happen if the conservative position came to the center, hence the song I wrote, right, come to the center and said, hey, let me understand why you choose the gender you're choosing outside of your biology. Yeah. And then hold in the space. And I just know if you sat long enough and made that person feel like they mattered, you would get deeper than the gender. You'd get deeper than the gender very quickly. And being distracted by trying to find the right gender and not going deeper into your origins of depth of you are a part of everything, and you've been gifted the ability to exist with free will, imagination. But the biology allows you to exist here, play here. Your parents honored the male female function to allow you to decide whether you like your gender or not, but you exist because of that gender function. So let's not flush the biological baby out with the bathwater, you know? I think you would find that both sides being curious as to, you know, why are you being so like a pronoun position? Why are you being so nasty to me, Mr. Conservative? Like, why are you so judgmental and you won't let me be who I want to be?
Yep.
And it's like, you know what? You can be whoever you want to be, but I don't think gender is the hill you die on. I don't think you putting all your eggs into your some form of gender to make you feel good is not the answer. The answer is deep down, we are much more. Genders are roles. You existed before you became a father.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, gender function in biology is a role. And therefore, you are greater than a role for function, you know? Yeah.
So, can I ask this is going to be a really dumb question, but
Oh, no, you're going to do the same thing as you did at that.
so are you saying that if you sat with a transvestite person and really deep dive, that person wouldn't then choose to be a trans? Like
no. What I'm saying is this.
Right.
I'm saying they will appreciate that I see through one layer of their journey into experimenting with what works for them. See, you see what I mean?
I see.
They have a right to do whatever they want for them.
Yeah.
Right? So if they want to experiment with the idea of swapping gender roles in a social setting, that comes with an adventure within itself that they get to have. It's their right to have. And as humans, if we don't have free will, we got nothing. Because without free will, we may as well just be software programs and robots.
Yeah.
So when a trans sits with me on a topic like this, I honor them for their choices. I honor them for even their challenges to go, yeah, for some reason, I just didn't like the social gender role, and therefore the biology it came from in my body. And I wanted to start to understand, does swapping over in the gender role make me feel better?
Oh, wow, that's profound.
You know what I mean? And when they did experiment with it, cross-dress or, hang out with others who are the same, they went through a journey of discovering for some reason they like it better. And so they thought that was the answer. And it was the answer if they like it better and it made their life better. It was the answer. But it doesn't change the fact that they were neither male or female in the essence of who they really are. They are greater than the function,
Oh, wow.
and the social constructs. They are greater. But it's funny. It's like we need to add a little bit of a dimensional nuance, because if you polarize and say, no, you're just your biology, then that's a rigid trapping of who you are. That's a lie. And you know what's funny? The conservative approach, which does have a lot of religion to it, right, comes with, oh no, we're spirits, we're souls. In a human body, yet they'll contradict and want to put all your identity into the flesh-bone body and sever you from your spirit. That does not make sense. So even their position is collapsing. So both sides in extremes, their position collapses. So imagine if you loved the journey, the adventure of trying to figure out, like who you are and trying to try on different modes of being as is this part of an answer. That's all well and good, but ultimately I know, because obviously I took a deep dive, for like decades around who are we and why we're here. And with the thousands of people I've engaged on this, everyone deeply resonates with, we are greater than the human avatar. There's a spark, there's something from the unseen of who we are that we come from, and we are here. And that's why I like the Avatar movie, the idea of you can lose your consciousness out of one, form into another. That was a very clever way to show how real you are in another form, and you live it, and then suddenly you zap back to another form.
Wow, you got me thinking, man. My brain is moving at 100 miles an hour now. It was really interesting. I never saw it that way. Like, so like you said, like male and female, they've got their perceived roles. Females do this, males do this, And then you've got this person who feels like, you know what, I'm tired of this social construct. I can wear a dress. It's not bound to the female label. And so they're on a journey of self-discovery with an aim to accept themselves. Not really. I'm not going to generalize this, but this is where my brain is going. So it's more about, it's sort of like a self-discovery, a self-acceptance journey. And so it's not the end when they change their gender. It's more like, it seems like they're starting on a new path to figure out, that they're great, they're inherently greater than what, they are. So,
I mean, like, why is it okay for the Scots to wear kilts?
Yeah.
And it's manly and it's cool and it doesn't take away from their masculinity and being a man, but yet they'll wear the skirt and everyone respects it and appreciates it. It's a social construct.
Yeah.
It's just all these social constructs of agreements to say, hey, for you to belong in this membership, play by these rules. So then what happens is that there's a lot of rules. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of rules. And if you don't have a foundation of knowing you matter, you're trying to matter through the rules. And the rules can't plug the hole of not mattering. And eventually, you want to kick the rules to the curb. You start to rebel. It's like, F these rules. They're not giving me what I want, so why should I respect them? And so we end up on a journey of rebelling because our true underlying cause is we want to feel we matter. We want to know who we are, and that if we know who we are, we know we matter.
That is so interesting. Wow. I was honestly confused about this whole topic. I'm so glad you did the deep diving for me and sharing it here. But
why are you so lazy?
No, because I honestly thought that, like a transgender, maybe they are gay, just like gays, where they've got, this thing that they've just been born into the wrong body sort of thing. That was my well, that's where I was going with this trans thing. But yeah, I mean, you've given a different perspective that I've never thought of. And I think that's really refreshing. But can I ask, have you seen any trans swap back permanently?
Yeah. Oh, no, I've seen someone do the operation, change, and then realize that's not them either. And then go through a bit of a crisis of, I think I really need to start rethinking this whole thing. And what am I doing in my life? I know someone like that.
Oh my gosh, imagine that.
And that they are an inspiration, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they used to make me coffee at a cafe.
Right.
And they was such an incredible person that I just loved being around them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would see them as a guy but they were actually a girl that turned into a guy. So normally you see the original biology and you get mixed up. I was doing the opposite by accident, but they wanted to be a they, and then I would mix it up, right?
Right.
And the level of love and grace of them holding space for me, not to make me feel uncomfortable by getting it wrong, was actually quite special for me because I got, wow, like this is these are real people who they want love. They just want to get on. They want harmony. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to guilt people and but it's when there's anger because it's like the world has let you down because they gave you all the rules to belong and none of them worked. Eventually, it's like you're going around picking fights and you see all these videos of people with pronouns abusing, a McDonald's cashiers and all that for getting there. Yeah. And it's like one-upmanship of trying to belittle someone and make them feel bad. And by the way, this is the other thing. Those that are most noisy are just minority, but they make us believe that this is the true fabric of our society.
Yeah.
But I don't live this pronoun issue every day or even every week. It's not really a part of my everyday life.
Yeah, same.
So it makes you realize that sometimes divide and sensationalism does hoard the media and the online social media space. But at the same time, I think we shouldn't waste those trends. We should deep dive into them together and come to the center. It's great right here.
Yeah, it is so interesting because everything you see on social media is just an extreme that's been sensationalized into a hashtag, and so kids very easily go, no, that's rubbish. And parents use that as a weapon, on both sides. I'm religious. Look at this guy belittling this trans guy belittling this cashier, with pronouns, and then use that as a stay with me in this religion, in this conservative side. And then the other good side go the other way around and say, look at this person, saying that, what's that guy's that host on TV? He's very, very crude with his comments about, trans. And he's like, you know what? They can be a black penguin tomorrow, and they go to the other extreme. And then the people who are on the other side go, look at how insensitive this person is, and use that as a tool to get, I get what you're saying. It is interesting. And they don't promote critical thinking. You don't go, what's behind that? Like all the stuff you just mentioned. That
they promote tribalism. It's like, I know I have people on my side. And I know that people love hearing me bag the other side, and I get more ratings.
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
You don't know
the Dave comedian?
He was famous for like a good 2 years because he was bagging LGBT trends.
Yeah, but what I noticed about Dave Chappelle was he was catching the nuances that didn't make sense.
Yes.
But he was also holding the space of his love for real people who were in there. So I would say that in the division and in the hate, they were trying to cancel him because they were in the mood of canceling.
Yes.
It was like the tribe was already salivating with hate and ready to look at anyone who remotely looked like they were the other side with a platform to shoot them down. You see?
Yeah.
Both sides anyway. And so the other thing is that we're after the drug of being right. So if I'm on membership on one side, my followers want dopamine hits of being righteous.
Yes.
So if I can represent them with righteousness, energy, and use my articulation skills to create the pseudo-logic bubble of one side, because when you feel that you're right, and you feel that all your logic all fits together, but then someone comes along and says, oh, did you consider this? And you went, oh, well, that just made my whole logic bubble burst. And now you update it. Now you got a new logic bubble, which means the previous logic bubble was a pseudo-logic. It was pretending it was the full package of logic. Well, this is echo chamber territory. When two sides hate each other and think they're right and the other side is wrong, that is two pseudo-logic bubbles coinciding. And the only place you can burst those bubbles is coming to the center. To look for the value and the logic in each bubble, and look for the pseudo parts in each bubble.
And that is very difficult because you need to talk to each other at a level where there's no ego and there's humility and a readiness to be vulnerable, when it is almost impossible in that scenario where you have two opposing forces with strong opinions. That's not going to happen. So how do you sort of bring them together? I mean, there's no way.
Well, there is a way, but it's hard. And it's hard because who are you? If you make you a tribal member, that's who you are, you're a part of that tribe.
That's my identity.
Then you're going to have an existential crisis leaving that bubble.
Yeah.
Because who are you outside of that bubble, right? And this is our dilemma. The reason why we're so easily divided is because we don't have a strong sense of who we are, which means we will latch onto any membership of belonging because we're so hungry for that feeling of belonging.
And you protect it once you're in it.
Yeah. And so I was thinking like, that center that I keep talking about, right? Coming to the center, it's neutral. It's quiet. There's no charge on you to be any one thing. But there is a sense of principles and truth that you exist because you're loved and that you have the free will to decide who you want to be, but you don't have to rush anything because you're in an abundant world and you're able to take in your environment fully to then decide how to make meaning out of who you want to be next. Like, you slow it right down. You're no longer defined by any clusters of ideas that you have to hold on to because you're nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think we have that fabric in our global culture that's strong enough for people to just go to the center with courage, confidence, and a sense of purposeful surrender, to be ready for any part of them to be torn apart because it was pseudo-logic baked into some crappy identity that they were trying to belong to.
Because that's not being taught at anywhere. That's one.
Yeah, that's true. And also, even if you're learning, religion or spiritual teachings, you're not calibrating it into your everyday of truly actualizing those principles.
Yeah.
Because what a coincidence. Christian teachings, turn the other cheek. In other words, you see, turn the other cheek is don't let them slap you around. Oh, they slapped you on one cheek. Well, give them the other cheek. Let them slap you around. Be their bitch. I don't think that was the teaching. I think the teaching was turn the other cheek. Look at all angles. Look at the other side of things. Look at the other side of things. Look at more.
Yeah.
Do you know when I was a kid? Sorry, you're not about to say something.
No. You go ahead.
I used to, while I was driving, when I say kid, like 18, 19, but even before that, you know what I would do? I would argue with someone in my mind. Then I would pretend I was them and argue back with myself. And you know what I noticed would happen?
What?
I would neutralize myself because I was good at arguing their position.
Right.
And it made me understand them.
That's a very interesting technique.
I kept doing it as a habit. And what it made me realize, Azlan, is that, oh gosh, everyone can just see things in a way that's real for them.
Yeah, pseudo-logic.
And just a little bit of mental gymnastics to look at life through their eyes and give it a good shot at arguing for their view properly makes me realize there's a lot of value in their view as well. And it would just balance me every time I did it in my head.
That's very smart of you to do at 16. Was it 16 you said?
Yeah, even younger. But like I had this habit of doing it. And
interesting.
And I honestly think that it should be a really good exercise for people to, as a daily discipline, choose someone that you don't agree with and argue their side. Maybe it was seeded in me from the debates we used to do at school, actually.
Oh.
Do you remember, right? You'd listen to one side, or if you were one side.
You were not listening, but yeah. I mean.
Well, Azlan, if you listened
yeah.
just once, you'd realize, oh, yeah, no, he's making a good point. And then the other person talks, they're making a good point. And you go, damn, like I've started to feel like more balance between there. And then you have to choose a winner. And it's not that easy to just say, oh, they're a clear winner half the time because each side did such a good job.
I remember I was in a debate, and I remember I wasn't listening when they were fighting. I was preparing my notes. Even though there was truth in what they were saying, you'll find a reason why it's not true. But then, after that, after the emotions have died down, then you go, oh, actually, there's a point there. Yeah. But during the debate, because you want to win, I remember that was very strong. But you're right. I mean, as a judge, you won't have those emotions. So it'll be a lot harder to go,
yeah,
hey, wait a minute. But this is really, I like that exercise. I'm going to adopt it. I'm going to steal it. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
Because, I've got that. Yeah, I can use that a lot of.
So when I go to do it and I can't find it anywhere, it's because you stole it.
Yeah. No, I'm so interested now in what you're saying because, man, I was confused about the whole trans thing. Like, I didn't know if it was a mental illness, as some people were saying it, or I don't know if it was like another gender, like a real transgender.
Yeah.
Like for me, gay is, I know a lot of gay people.
Yeah.
And they've never sort of turned back on being straight.
Gay, yeah.
I mean, from gay being straight, I've always seen that, and they're a lot happier. And I mean, I still see a few gays that are depressed. Obviously, there's a lot of them. I mean, this is normal, right? But with trans, it's more like I didn't know. Like, are they trying to experiment, or are they mentally ill, or is that, or like, And so having that perspective of they are on this self-discovery sort of path, and they are free to do whatever they want and have that control, and experience it for themselves is really interesting. But then coming back to the roles of male and female, you said something so you're saying that male and female are there for like the basic reproductive sort of to sustain.
Yeah.
But then people slapped on roles like male, you have to be stoic. Females, you have to be. And then.
Okay, so you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Through evolution, you're testing ideas together. So initially, you've got a female, and then you're forced as a female to be heavier, to be less mobile. Your body is soft. You're being designed to be nurturing so that baby just feels the connection, feels understood, compassion. The guy has got more muscles, more bone density to just run, chase after food, hunt. And so what happens is that the man has to keep going into dangerous territory from a primal perspective, dangerous territory to find what's needed for the family.
Right.
You say? Now, so that's the biological evolution initially. It was a natural extension of the male-female function of procreation that the bodies just naturally extended into complementary functions.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Then evolution in society started to mean technology, and everything means we needed to hunt less. Just go to the supermarket and the meat's cut up already, But we still held all the social constructs that got built in extension to that biology, right? In other words, the man goes and does the job. He goes hunting for the money to go to the supermarket. But the mum loves the nest, the house, making it beautiful, loving space. She's there for the children through the day, takes them to school, brings them back. There's this sense of extension of let's complement each other. Now, there's a real value in that because teamwork, complementing strengths, weaknesses, it created a lot of social construct, right?
Yeah.
But we got lost in the social constructs being developed for function of raising children in a steady, stable, good household, and equipping the children with, the skills of the parents to keep it going. We got lost in that being us when it was a way to keep the opportunities to be human happening on the planet. We just got lost in it being us.
Yeah, it becomes your identity.
Yeah. And if it becomes your identity, you defend it.
Yeah.
As if someone's attacking you just by them choosing to be a different social construct than you. They're a threat to you now because who are they to sever themselves from something that they are? It means they're mentally ill.
Yeah, because that's my identity. I see what you're saying now. So you can easily just slap a label on that person and say this person is mentally, because you cannot think outside of your pseudo-logic. I see what you're saying. And very interesting, man. Like this why I'm so interested in what you just said is this role of being this guy who hunts for money.
Yeah.
And I remember in Asia, I grew up in an Asian family, obviously. And there's this thing that you cannot connect emotionally as a man. You know, you cannot cry. You cannot. And so even with friends, you stop crying, man. Like, you know, don't be so emo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they use this word like emo, and you're like, you're just trying to find yourself. And then the funny thing is, when I allowed myself to be vulnerable, I felt more human than that role that I have to be this man, you know, so it was very interesting for me that you said that, because I remember clearly in one part of my life, I was like, am I really emo? Am I like, you know, weak, you know?
And that's really good. That's a really good insight, because when you go into complementary social constructs of roles,
right,
you end up and you start to think that's you. It means you're now denying the other secondary traits in you, like a male having feminine traits, a female having masculine traits. You start to deny it, suppress it in you, because you think it's embarrassing or it doesn't represent you and it's not allowed to express because you're a man. You don't cry. You don't have feelings.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what a load of crap that is, because the truth is this: everything a woman has, a man has, and vice versa, in the traits to deal with problems, to deal with opportunities.
Yeah.
Like if you need to be feminine for your son, soften, be nurturing. That is a real important function for you as a man, to bring it in the right context. To think you have to keep, staunch.
Yeah, like this character, these traits are for this sex. This trait is for that.
Exactly. And even male, female in the bedroom, the man can be strong and can be a leader, and it turns on a woman. But a man also needs to lean into sensitivity and have intuition and know how to be gentle and intuitive in how to caress and be affectionate to a woman, so she feels the intimate connection, not this
robot.
Robot or this big slab of muscle meat just pounding her. And I didn't want to say that, but it's funny. And, they're just falling on her and going, F you, And it's like, oh, how, like, wow, And so, and also I do know that we are generally just wanting both. We want masculine, we want feminine. So a woman with a man that's too feminine and not enough masculine, she craves the beast. She craves the person that says, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that, But if a man is too masculine, then the woman craves the feminine in the man and goes, where's your sensitivity? Where's your romantic nature? And so we want a bit of balance, but we want to be able to pivot more to the part that actually truly serves in the social construct of a role, in the complement as a default. But we can't be rigid in the default as if it's us.
Well said. Well said. Wow. Okay. No, that's very interesting.
And, it does say to us, like, shouldn't we be multidimensional? Shouldn't we be able to absorb what's in front of us and take on a form that creates a beautiful way to engage it for a great experience of a value exchange,
Mm-hmm.
And that one day it needs more of this and another day needs more of that based on what you're reading in front of you. But if we're just coming in preloaded with, how to be like a robot with a software program, I'm masculine, I do it this way. And everything around you needs a little bit of softness and gentleness because of what's happened. And you don't know how to be it because you're so invested in I am this. You're just misfiring and causing damage because you don't know how to adapt. You don't know how to complement the occasion.
It is so funny we are talking about this today. I just told my wife yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I have a mental disorder, but I do this thing that I realized once I was out with my boys. I haven't hung around with them for like 7 years. And I hung around with them for once, just us, without the families. And so I realized I have this character, this persona
that comes out of nowhere.
I've got 5. I've told her I find out in the plane. I was thinking I have 5 characters, and it all suits the surroundings. So
chameleon-like.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was is this a mental disorder? I don't know. Anyway, what I said was with these guys, I am completely reckless, inappropriate, childish, like completely a guy who doesn't plan. Like I just go, I don't care. I don't remember your name.
Which is so opposite you in other areas of life.
And then in work, I am the opposite. Everyone's like, Azlan, why are you so rigid on your plans? What's going on? And I'm charismatic, driven. I know what's going on. Like that character doesn't exist with my friends, my good friends, And so I was like, just wondering, is it a disease? Like, am I inherently broken inside where I'm changing like a chameleon to suit the social construct? Because I know when to pull. I told her, I know when to pull which trait to suit the occasion to bring out the best in the other person and in the construct.
Yeah, look, I reckon there's 2 sides to this. There's the side of your adaptive nature to be truly complementing the dynamics of the environment you're in.
Yeah.
Right. There's the other side of you feel you have to be that in that environment.
Oh no, not with my friends. No, I enjoy that character, but at work,
you enjoy it. If you enjoy it, it means it's reasonably in balance. So you are reckless and silly, but you don't put it to a point where you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, see, that is not a mental disease, but isn't it interesting, or mental disorder? Isn't that interesting how you've been raised, we've been raised to associate that level of adaptive nature as a sickness because you're supposed to be this predictable, rigid, one version of being for all occasions. That's really telling.
Oh.
That's really telling.
Oh. That is so interesting.
Do you feel better about yourself now?
No, it was so interesting. Wow. Again, definitely.
And this is a superpower, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Dial it up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's instinctive to you. You've already got 5 of them.
People are going to be scared now. Which Azlan am I talking to,
Maybe you should have like buttons.
Names.
And you just choose, Azlan, which one do I want? It's like a jukebox.
Do you want the corporate Azlan? Do you want the father, the in-law Azlan?
Wouldn't it be cool if we designed shirts and it had buttons, modes of being?
Yeah.
And it was a way to invite people to choose what parts of us they'd like to engage with.
Whoa, that's a good idea.
And have like multicolored buttons. You like say 5 buttons and each one's labeled with a description. And you wear the shirt and you go, who do you want today?
I love that. That's a great idea.
Do you want, let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
I'll wear it.
Yeah, I'll wear it too. Which version of me do you want today?
Yeah.
I just need that one now. Okay, the listener.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point because we could probably have 3 categories and buttons in each category. So for the wife, we've got which modes of husband do you want? For the children, which modes do you want? Imagine your son being able to press the button he wanted.
Oh, that would be great. He would love that.
We would love that.
Yeah,
I would love to get that feedback.
Yeah,
as to where someone's at and what they'd like from us.
Brilliant. Because the whole idea, I'm so excited now because the whole idea of a trait belonging to a particular gender is so warped that people see it as weakness, especially in my friends like Azlan. You can't treat your son like you can't baby him and you can't be you got to be a man, because they see how I am with my son. I'm like smelling his face, making funny noises, and it's wrong. Like, and sometimes you go, is it wrong? You question yourself, and with enough social pressure, you cave and you go, I'm wrong in doing that. I need to be a man, and then you destroy your relationship with your son. And a lot of Asian parents and their children, they don't get along because of this social construct.
Imagine if the shirts took off so much, the t-shirts, that it literally changed the cultures around the world, because everybody was constantly being reminded we can be different for each other based on where we're at. And it became a visual of, I need this right now. So for a husband, it's like, do you want me to just listen without solutions mode?
I was going to say.
Listen without solutions mode.
Be a man who just takes over.
Physical affection. Hot sex. It's like, honey, I've noticed you've never pressed that button for like months. Like, can you?
It's so interesting. I love that. And then, that would create also a culture of, hey, I need this right now. I need this version. For yourself.
But it's a great reminder, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We should have a category for what modes will I treat myself with today.
Ooh. Like self-care stuff. Oh, I love that.
So now you can imagine you've got 5 t-shirts and you know which one you want to wear that day, because you want that functionality of buttons to be part of your brand of who you're going to be for that day.
I love that. That is so good.
So if you know you're going to be at home for a day and it's all about self-nurturing, you put your t-shirt on around what attitude you want to have to yourself, and all that sort of stuff.
And then when you look at yourself in the mirror, which you do like 3 times a day, you're reminded of, oh, I forgot. I've got these things that I can do for myself today. I can be, be a work in progress. I can accept where I am, or like, those kinds of things.
And then if you're being a mode and someone goes, dude, you're being this right now, and I really need you to be this.
What mode do you want? Oh my God. Oh, it's so interesting. I love that. This is such a great crescendo, because I remember I was just chatting with her yesterday. I was like, I think I've got some disease because I have so many personas.
Well, you've inspired.
Yeah, the shirts.
Yeah, and let's call them modes. That's the
modes.
brand name. Modes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds good. Modes.
Yeah. That's excellent.
So I want to put money into it. Do you want to put money into
Really?
it? Yeah. Let's design the first 5 and just create 5 of each or 10 of each or something.
Sure. Let's do it.
All right.
It'll be fun.
You watched a great ideation process live. You were here with us in the podcast. Imagine if it becomes an empire,
Oh, people can copy it, but it'll still be a great idea. It will help.
Yeah, but we are the ones that will be innovating the best buttons ever.
Oh, right. Okay.
Trust the Asian. They're going to copy.
It's the China in me
the China in me.
My ancestors.
As soon as it's going gangbusters, people will copy.
Like, I had a bit of a flashback of my ancestors, in the factory, sort of working on the shirt. But
this t-shirt's going to work. Just start making them now.
So good. So good. So coming back, I want to circle back to this trans thing, because I still sort of, still a bit, it hasn't come full circle yet. So are you saying that, I know you're not saying it's not okay to be a trans, but you're just giving it a different angle. So
no, it's okay.
Right.
The reason why it's okay to be trans is, in the scheme of things, everyone has a right to choose how they want to live their life. And if they are searching and they're landing on different social constructs that fit with them for the experiences they want to have, are good for them. But what I'm saying is that it's not that easy. Many of them might find the different social constructs actually work for them and they're happy. But many of them are going to realize, like us, even the heterosexual, right? There's a hole and I'm not plugging it really well. Like it doesn't matter if you've gone on to a trans pathway as part of your, toolkit of trying to solve this feeling of, I don't feel
the gap.
Yeah, inside, the fact is we're all on that journey and we're going about it differently. And people are gambling and people are taking drugs and people are playing with their genders. Everyone's finding something to try to fill the hole.
Yeah.
And this hole is a bitch.
And this hole is internal as well as not external. Sort of. It's within you.
Yeah,
it's almost like self-acceptance, sort of. Very interesting. So then so coming back to the conservatives.
Yeah.
So they hate them because because let me just put this into perspective.
Yeah.
Because they feel that their identity is being challenged by this new thing that's popping up. They don't understand or they don't seek to understand what this person is going through. So therefore they're like, they don't care about this person's experience. And religion makes it a bit harder because religion then builds on top of that identity and to protect, Adam and Eve. There was no Adam. There was no, trans in that show. So, okay. So I guess that's where my head is at. It's like trying to understand why the conservatives are so angry about this and then just slap a mentally ill label on it. I know a person actually who just said that to me last week.
Yeah, right. But, like if you look at family values and you look at conservatives loving their children and honoring them and wanting them to grow up and they want to be grandparents. And it's just this part of being human. There's 8 billion people. 8 billion babies were born. 8 billion were put into families. 8 billion. And you go back 20 years, you go back another 20 years, billions, right? Right. So therefore, obviously, the function of giving birth, loving a child, raising the child with mum loving the child in beautiful complementary ways as the man, father is supposed to love in their complementary ways. There is an aspiration to protect the child, educate, develop the child. There's just love to say, we're going to pass this baton on to you. We want you to be great for society. We want you to be great for our family, for us, for you, for your family that you will raise. That's a beautiful part of humanity.
Yeah.
So then you've got the conservative side who loves that, right? And so therefore, when they see someone trying to sell a whole new brand of you are not your genders and I'm not going to be mine, it means suddenly the family is being threatened because you're deteriorating the fabric of rules around that certainty of who does what to make sure that family functions. So what happens is the conservatives freak out a little bit. It's like a visceral threat. Yeah. And so rather than just slow it down and lean in and understand they just
rapid fire.
Yeah, they just rapid fire, try to shoot them down with accusations of mental illness and all that. And then what happens is that those other people double down.
Yeah.
And then they become resentful and hateful. And then they end up rebelling even worse and go, well, I'm even going to be more to taunt you because you're so old fashioned. I'm going to taunt you with even more, rebellion against social constructs. So what's happening is, look, if you worship social constructs and make them non-negotiable and fuse your identity into them, you are literally severing your dynamic spirit out of the power of being a complement in the moment. If you turn on all social constructs, you're undoing hundreds of thousands of years of matured evolution of ideas to help create platforms to leverage very useful functions of protecting a child, giving it security, being there for it in a complementary way between male and female. So the answer is not to trash social constructs or worship them without constant engaging them to see how they may need to be updated. Because remember, there was an evolution of these ideas coming together. It shouldn't stop. It should continue to evolve. So it's always relevant. But the conservative just want to hold on to the past,
I see what you mean.
and then the progressives want to destroy it all.
Yeah, it's completely different extremes.
It's extremes, and that's why it's a pseudo bubble, and that's why they both collapse upon themselves. Because if you lean in long enough, you realize both sides have value. Both sides have value. Some social constructs deserve to be challenged and updated. Others, but if you understand the social construct's true function, you will keep it where it's great and relevant.
And coming back to the center, people like us, the middle people, who, because I'm afraid now at work, nobody ever talks about this. Like, if you're a trans, you're scared, because the moment you say something, they're gonna, if it's a trans, they're gonna say you're a transmophobe, and then they silence you, and so you don't say anything. So then
that builds resentment.
Yeah, and then you have two people, like it's like almost like a mom and father, like a mom and dad fighting, and we're in the middle, and you can see that the people are fighting crazy,
and you don't let upset mom or dad.
Yeah, and you're so scared to say anything because you don't want to trigger anyone, and then a full connection stops.
That's what happened to me. I just shut up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because at work I'm scared. Like I don't want to ask anything. Like
remember I said to you, I go, "What's going on here?" And then I went, "Oh, it looks too heated and confused. I'm just going to tap out and just hope it goes away." Well, it didn't. It just kept happening year after year. And eventually I went, you know what? I need to understand this. What is going on?
Yeah. That's so interesting because you had people to talk to, which definitely helped.
Yeah, I did. Not that many, to be honest. But every time I did learn a lot. And it helped me appreciate the journey is a struggle for a lot of people because they just want to be happy. They want to know they matter. It's not too much to ask. We should be helping them deep dive into discovering why they are special and why they belong and why their individuality is really important. But at the same time, balance is beautiful. And what are we balancing individuality with? What unifies us?
Mm-hmm.
You see, differences create diversity and expansion. They usher in new ideas.
Yep.
But unity creates the harmony, the foundation to leverage new platforms of achieving to go even higher.
Yeah.
So why aren't we together playing that world? Why aren't we saying, I really care about your side because I reckon there's treasure to be mined in your side. And then you do the same to me. And we're mining each other's treasure and feeling valued, which brings us to the middle, right?
So I can probably take a guess why. It's because people are so caught up with their perception, but not interested in the perspective. Because perception is your perception of things.
Yeah.
Rigid, some people can't get out of that perception of that thing. And then perspective is trying to understand,
that there's another way, there's an expanded way to see things. But what's interesting? In our perception, because our emotion gets glued in, so we feel our perception, it tricks us into thinking it's perspective.
Ah, yes.
Right? So then we trade on thinking we've got the perspective.
Yeah.
And hence why it's called pseudo-logic, because we're distracted by we're logical and the pseudo hides. The pseudo hides.
Yeah.
The lies that undermine and don't make it really logical are hiding. We don't see that.
So that's why seeking to understand is important, because it expands your perspective and it helps you grow outside of your pseudo-logic.
You know what's funny?
What?
Half the lyrics in the song has come out in these little sound bites. Like, seek to understand before being understood is one of the lyrics in the song. And then you just said that, and it's been happening through the conversation. But yeah, I really think that the underlying driver here, and what you and I discuss a lot about, is we want to get to truth. Truth sets you free. If truth hurts, it's because you're holding on to lies as your identity and you just refuse to be adaptive and allow the friction to be removed between you and the truth.
Right.
Right. So truth only hurts when you're holding on to a lie as if it has to be true. So if you really, really love truth, you would soften and you'd be able to become that which can leverage that truth to be set free. Truth sets you free. And I think I say that because then maybe that helps us build more confidence, to be vulnerable, to have more courage, to come to the center. Because the center is saying, you may be right, you may be wrong. Absorb the data. Take in the information more and more and more to be informed. Right? To be informed. Because if you're not informed, there is no truth. Get informed. But, each side already knows everything, by the way. Did you know that?
Yeah, I mean,
each side already knows everything that needs to be known.
That's the tricky part.
They got the labels for the other side to make it easy, put them in the right boxes they deserve to be in.
Oh, man, that the truth will set you free. It can be a double-edged sword because some people who are disillusioned that their truth is the truth, they will say, Azlan, come to Christianity.
It will set you free.
It will set you free. The truth will set our truth will set you free. And then you go, well, then there's that other truth that you talked about, which is more universal truth.
But that's more pseudo-logic.
Yeah.
See, our truth, right?
Yeah.
When you say I might be right, I might be wrong, let me walk in to the space of being neutral.
Yeah.
Our religion doesn't do that. Religion doesn't say I might be wrong.
You can't.
My religion is right.
You're so right. You're so right when you say that.
Yeah. So it's not really a truth thing. It's I've already got all the truth I need.
And you need to figure out your life in this construct, on this set of truths, which is in this book.
Yeah.
So there's no room for wiggle.
Yeah. What's interesting? It's like interpretation is so huge because 5 people can read the same text and interpret it differently. And that's what I find interesting about, scripture and the metaphors and in between meaning in scripture. It's like one's getting it literally, one's getting it metaphorically, one's enrolling contextual, historical references of what those words mean back then. One's using fractals to understand what are the patterns being alluded to. Because this is a teaching around the cycles of behavior of humans and how to align better for virtuous living. So did you see how I just made up 5 lenses already?
Yeah.
That's going to bias how you decode the words.
Yeah.
And so when the Bible at the beginning said, this is the word and no one can tamper with these words, something along those lines. I'm definitely paraphrasing. I just looked at that, shook my head and went, a human wrote that to manipulate. Because it's like there's only one way to interpret this. The words are bulletproof, one way to interpret. Everyone's going to know the truth just by reading the words as they're written. It's like, what? You lost me at one-dimensional interpretations, trying to put a halo of perfection on the Bible when every person interpreting it could end up killing someone else because they got the opposite interpretation as the other one.
And that's what happens with words. You are bound to misinterpret words. I can say I'm hungry. If someone says he's horny, he's hungry for sex, or he's hungry for death, he wants to kill someone, he is hungry for peace. So, words are just meant, it's just, anyway.
And all the translations as well from the ancient language to the English language. And, King James having a crack at his own interpretation for his own political needs and ideologies. I was like, come on. There's so many layers of baking new interpretations of the Bible. Even the word Elohim, those from the sky.
I have no idea what that means. What does that mean?
God.
Oh.
But if you looked at the original word Elohim, those in the sky. So it wasn't even a plural to one.
Right.
And sky is not really about it's up there. Sky is it's beyond the realm of where we are. But you have to really loosen up a little and start to understand that if you're going to read anything, you just got to start to, why has this scripture withstood the test of time? Because obviously there's something in it, right? But look at the mess we've made with it. Look at the different religions that have fought each other off its, and what is that scripture? The scripture then gets collated, right? So you got all these gospels and they go, all right, that's called the Bible. And then you got all these other, journalistic reports. Oh, that's the Quran. And then you got all that. Oh, that's the, what's that? Jewish Judaism. Anyway, So the point is everyone's collating some form of, representation of a movement of truth and then you look and you see all the common threads through all of them, right? You see all common threads and you see how they interconnect, but then you also see the tangent of branding that they decided to hang their hat on as an identity.
Yeah.
And because of that, once again, the playbook, make any constructive meaning your identity, and you're going to defend it as if it's a visceral attack on your existence.
Yeah. To protect that brand.
Because that's you.
Yeah.
And you don't want to die.
And I find that interesting because, like you said, the 5 personas, there's about 3 different churches in Perth that preaches completely different. One is accepts gays and, and then the other one is more conservative. The old, this are usually the old people in there. And then there's another one that's youth, it's about music and about, so it's all different brands, and it's
marketing.
And then I have I know people who choose, like, when the whole gay thing erupted, there was this one church that just bagged it so badly. So a few people that I know left and went to a different one, which is like moderate. Yeah. And said, look, because it was a big thing. Everyone was talking about gays and LGBTs, and the one that succeeded was the one that's sort of neutral, because succeeded with like 40-year-olds and below. Yeah. Are the ones that are sort of, you can be it. Don't promote it, like sort of like a neutral thing. Yeah. And it was so interesting that the brand evolves, depending on the social construct at that location.
Another big issue that I haven't spoken about a lot is Muslim. Being Islam and Muslim, right? God. Yeah. So when I was in,
I'm Muslim, by the way.
Yeah. So when I was in Lebanon, right? Muslims were trying to kill Christians, right?
Yeah.
And they came after my grandfather and father by name to kill them. And my grandmother hid them in a female public toilet. And they came into the male looking for them, didn't find them, didn't think to go into the female because it's very sexist ideology. Yeah. It's like, you don't go into female.
I'm going to kill someone, but I can't go into the female toilet.
Social constructs, blind spots. So then what I know of that is my grandfather, being Christian, he started a restaurant in the mountains, the first restaurant in this village in Lebanon, and most of his customers were Muslim. And every time I looked at my uncles and everyone, they had Muslim friends. Mm-hmm. So here we are escaping Lebanon, and we've got Muslim friends there. We've got Muslim friends when we come to Australia. Mm-hmm. And then I'm raised with school, lots of Muslims, around me, and I'm fine with them and we're all good. And then it's same as uni. And then I think to myself, wow, like what's going on there? When you get down to the ground, everybody just looks in each other's eyes and says, I just want love and I just want to be there for you. And I don't want to let ideology get in the way because I see the kindness in how you treat me. Yes. And we don't let those ideas of division play a role. But when brainwashing captures radicals, the division is extreme, right? So, but then we get a little bit compromised with that because we go, oh shit, I can't go against the radicals because I'm in the lineage of that faith and I don't want to be seen as someone who's betraying you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't support them because I don't agree with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get on with everybody, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to, in my own mind, go, I get it. It's not about people. It's about we're all getting compromised with ideation clusters into movements pitched against each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have a history of a bomb killing a girl and I witness it. And and so I'm in a war at 4 years old. I'm watching a girl get killed. Yeah, I saw the bomb hit and I freaked out. I was on the veranda. And so and then they killed a Christian man who his children used to play with me in my grandma's courtyard. And I saw the bloodstains in the courtyard and the shells where they executed him for being Christian. So I have this history.
Oh my gosh, did not know that.
The thing is, Azlan, I have this history and I just know that it does not represent Muslim people. But most people don't have that experience. Most people carry the trauma and associate it and then have that resentment. Do you know what I mean? So people are quietly dissing the other side amongst each other, but they dare not do it in public because it's not right. Look what happened in New South Wales against that Jewish guy and the Bankstown Hospital couple who literally were taunting him and saying that if he'd come as a patient, they would have ended his life for being Israeli. Did you see that? And it blew up, right?
It blew up.
So you got all this crazy stuff going on. And I went, you know what? I spent too much time trying to understand my journey, my life, and understanding why we're all suffering and trying to find meaning in our life. And eventually I was able to resolve this weird situation of escaping a country, but having genuine friendships with Muslims and Christians and Jews and going.
That's very commendable.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, why is there such a different world in the media and in politics compared to the neighbors that are there for each other?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, so it's great that you took that approach because you could have gone the other way, you know. So well done. Well done on you for having that insight to go,
I could have become a Christian zealot.
Yeah, you could have. So I want to ask another question that is sort of related to the center.
Yeah.
The healing of both sides.
Yeah.
Why do you think that woke culture is demonized? Because woke culture, well, from my limited understanding, it is about people who. So woke culture, in my understanding, is that people are trying to be more understanding towards each other, but that's demonized now by the conservatives.
Yeah, that's right.
So is woke culture an attempt to try to bring people to the center?
No, it isn't.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
It's, if you did do that, you'd be leaning into the conservatives with love. That's not happening. It's judgment and persecution and belittling. And so the woke culture will preach harmony while they are incredibly vicious to the conservatives. And the conservatives preach Christian values while they are so unchristian to the woke culture. It's farcical.
Wow, okay. Interesting.
I call it a clusterfuck.
Wow, because that's what I thought woke culture was. I thought woke culture was an attempt to heal the rift, but then you're right. They use it as a weapon.
No. In the moderate band, yes. But when you're getting demonized by the other side, you end up getting emblazoned and double down into more extremes in rebellion, and you lose the purity of your movement.
Yes.
Initially, woke means to be awake. Like, what's wrong with woke as a beautiful term? It's like you're waking up to what matters. That we're all there for each other. We all got to tolerate our differences. We all got to harmonize. But then who co-opts that? Socialism. Socialism says no individual matters. We all have to just accept what top-down tolerance. Everyone has to be tolerant. but it's a top down. It's not about now individual up. What I like about conservatives is they believe in personal agency. They say, let the person be free to make choices every day.
Unless they're trans.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. and then the other side go, yeah, but we also need to top down protect and reverse damage of areas of discrimination that have become systemized. You with me?
Yeah.
Including systemized racism, because we don't realize we're racist, that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
The problem with all this is that in the extremes, neither one has any value anymore. It's only when you consolidate the two together, but they're not negotiating. They are polarizing. And so remember I said to you a couple of conversations back, I said to you, I thought I was a centrist. I thought I was in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I started to feel like I was being positioned as if I'm on the right because I was agreeing with moderate right because the institutions of media and government, the far left, got control. And therefore, the moderate right were becoming more reasonable to counterbalance what was going on with the woke, institutionalized push of so many ideologies in an extreme format without consolidating them into balance in the way they were being represented.
Right.
And I thought, what happened? I thought I was a bit on the left, but then I didn't want to be. I want to be in the middle. And then suddenly I'm on the right. And it was because the Overton window shifted. Right?
The Overton?
Yeah. So an Overton window is where in any given time in society, when you've got people representing the left and right, if one side is able to consolidate into the institutions, they start to push their way as if that's the center.
Yeah.
And then that shifts the window. But what happens is they're not really the center. And so you might be in the middle, but if they start pushing it that way, you become the left. The left. If you push the other way, you become the right. And so you're just there trying to, critically think and try to find out how we can get on with each other and be balanced. And then suddenly people are literally demonizing you. Because if you're in the middle to the extreme right, you're the left.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. So it's all relativity. It's all relativity to which ideas are dominating at the time.
So interesting because I have the same feeling now. I don't even know if I'm right or left anymore.
Yeah, and look, calling yourself a centrist is dandy, but it's not easy because we're a work in progress.
Yeah,
I remember saying that a while ago. We're just a work in progress. So you might think you're balanced, you might think you're in the center, and then you find out you weren't. So what do? You start to move to the center from the discovery. So it's just a process. It's not a place. Come to the center is come to the process.
Yes.
To deal with the extremes.
I like it.
Which is probably good. I should say it that way. It's a shame those lyrics didn't make it into the song.
We can always update it.
Yeah.
But how you interpret. Oh, that's really, really good. I feel like that's come full circle now because now we've talked about a lot of interesting things that relate to the main theme.
Yeah.
I was going to make a joke about the Bible, but I don't want to. I'll just park that. I was about to say, plot twist, the Bible was wrote by a trans. But anyway, didn't seem appropriate.
You said that out loud, right?
Well, I know. I'm going to get into trouble for this.
Why? Why would you get in trouble?
Oh, because I'm surrounded by Christians? That's probably why. And their kids watch this show.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds watching shows like this.
Really?
In my time.
Good on you guys.
No.
I'm so chuffed that you're joining in the conversation on these sort of topics.
Uncle Azlan is not that crazy. Okay. Just I have a sensible side.
No, he has a crazy mode.
Oh, yes,
we already know that.
I do. But it was all over Facebook, my crazy mode, and I was so embarrassed about it. My friend took videos, and anyway, what time is it?
So you know what to do? We should say ciao for now, end it here, and then maybe we play the song at the end of the podcast to finish the podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us this week. And we'll see you guys next week. I thought it was really interesting. Thanks, George.
Absolute pleasure to unpack the dangerous conversations that can get you cancelled. Bye for now.
Ciao, ciao.
So, false alarm, we're just extending.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, so I often thought about this, and it does fit into the extremes where you lose the value. Here's how, right?
Yeah.
When you've got inertia for the wrong way of operating that has biased in a very habitual way towards a certain race, a certain sex, for positions.
Yeah.
So therefore, and then the way you raise people, even parenting, you are inadvertently telling your children what roles they're going to be capable of doing and what roles you're not going to support.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the school system does it accidentally because everybody's talking about, oh, boys do this, girls do this. And so there's this systemic nurturing of having a lot less representation of a certain type of person into certain roles, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you look at woke, it's this sense of, hey, guys, can we as a human race outgrow these habitual ways of marginalizing? Because you don't need muscles, you don't need bone density for a woman to fly a plane. You just don't, right?
Yeah.
As an example. So then what happens is governments get these great ideas, go, we will create a quota and that will force top down everyone to have to adapt and find ways to bring more women in. Now, initially when you do that, it's a big problem because you say, oh no, I want 10 women to be pilots.
Mm-hmm.
50 men or 100 men applied and only 20 women applied. And then when you screen them all, you have to literally accept 5 women who are not as good as the men,
Correct.
right? So we know that's a dilemma because they're underrepresented to begin with.
Yes.
But the top-down policy is forcing people. Okay, now, that is dangerous. We know, but adversity creates innovation. In other words, when you are caught in a situation that's that bad,
mm-hmm.
you have to dig deep and find ways to overcome it. So now, because you don't want to have dangerous airlines, I don't know why I'm giving this as an example, but because you don't want to have danger by having less competent pilots, you will go, what can we do to make sure that this weakness in this phase is not going to be exploited by our current systems, our current technology, our recruitment, our harvesting of new recruits into the future. And so everybody is forced to start to innovate ways to make sure there's more women applying, and of the women applying, they're fit for purpose at proper standards. So then over time, that top-down draconian quota stuff,
mm-hmm.
it starts to actually, only because we had to, it starts to force us to fix things.
Right.
But you can't overdo it.
Yeah.
Because we are human and there's only so much innovation we can pull off. And it's not acceptable to have 100, 200, 300 people die in a plane because of your idealistic nonsense of we need more women as pilots. So it's all well and good to see the value of one side, but you got to go, how do we do it in balance? How do we make sure that the quotas are a stretch that's manageable and we take our time over time and we don't have people stomping saying, no, we're going to have equality tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it's wrong. It's wrong to feel you can force people to innovate and update everything and solve the problems in a short enough time without endangering lives.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, the example that I gave was the work example where, there's a 50-50 quota for each department to get male and female, and the managers will get their bonus if you get the balance right, and then a lot of people are being kicked out of their roles because, even though they're
incentivized to get their quota from top down.
And so the male people who got kicked out got angry. They were pissed. I mean, and then word spread like, oh, this woman doesn't know what she's doing. She's coming to this role, no experience whatsoever. I've been here for 10 years, and just because we have to fill the quota. And
my gosh.
Yeah.
Azlan, that poor woman, because the system is extreme,
yes,
she now is literally being scapegoated, put into the cooking pot on a high temperature. And she's going, I'm not getting any support. I'm getting undermined.
Correct.
People don't like
Correct.
me. And
she's not built up for success.
Yeah, she's set up to fail.
Correct.
So that guess what happens? Then the guys get to say, see? Told ya,
yeah.
Men are more capable. But the truth is the system was wrong. They went too extreme on quotas. It should have been, how do we, on the entry of children through schools, through tertiary, through
all the way up.
Clubs, how do we nurture them into confidence, leadership, and the competencies so that we bring a wave in that solves the problem?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And not just force it.
Yeah.
It's
so sad that because this lady couldn't sustain it, and obviously so she left.
This is the problem.
And then the male will go, I told you.
I know. All because of extremes. It's completely out of balance.
Yeah.
Both sides are wrong, but because they're not working together. I think that's a really important point, because I do hear this a lot about the quotas and the damage it causes on the conservative side. Everyone, merit-based, we need to be merit-based. Yeah. Yes, but why aren't you also saying, while we're merit-based, let's be merit-based in the way we educate our children, not to be marginalized through their gender roles, to feel limited in roles that don't need gender roles, right? Where is your conversation, conservative people, there? Where is it? It doesn't exist. So conservatives, as much as I like a conservative point of view, they have a lot of upgrading to do to truly represent their true values, because you can't be saying merit-based and then turning a blind eye to all the systems that prevent people from building their capacity to be able to deliver on merit. It's wrong.
Agreed. I think we're on that process. I mean, it's not there yet, but I think society is getting there. I remember in uni there was a big push for women to take on IT roles. And it's like, why women? I was in a lecture and they said, now it's being dominated by men, but it doesn't have to be that way. Women arguably are smarter than men when it comes to logical thinking. That was just a joke that he made. I knew who was carrying the whip in his relationship. Anyway.
And we got cancelled. Just like that.
Yes. Anyway,
you got so close.
I was so close. No, but it was Anyway, it was interesting. So that was just an interesting insight that I wanted to share, because it did create it actually still is creating a lot of tension now.
Yeah, it is. And it's because we're not really negotiating into balance.
We're forcing it.
It's not. It's fight. It's like our way and the other saying, but I don't like your way. Oh, guys, vote me in and I'll do my extreme way. And then the other people go, vote us in and we'll do our extreme way. That's like rocking a ship violently from left to right in the election process and wondering why we're all not happy with the people we elect. It's like, what are we doing?
It is extreme, isn't it? If you think about the USA, it's completely. It's completely like a ship.
Yeah.
You vote this one, and then they suddenly go, no, I'm going to go to the other extreme, which is Biden. I mean, sort of the left, and then let's go back to Trump.
Yeah.
And it's literally just going completely.
I know. And look, I think that the founders of America knew that you need to keep representation on both sides, and that you need free speech to keep ideas flowing, so that both sides have to keep emitting information to the awareness of the public. If you create censorship, so you know what ends up happening, and we know this, the left tried to cancel and deplatform voices that disagreed with them.
Yeah. And filtered it out.
Yeah. And filtered it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the right also demonize and try to shut down people who have different voices,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the point here is it's because you're not, what are you censoring? You see, you can say, I'm going to censor that voice because it's dangerous in the extreme, right? But the true solution is to go, why? What makes them hold up that extreme view? How about I assume innately they want to do good? How about we actually amplify their voice of extreme and keep asking genuine questions? Because you know what happens when people ask genuine questions? They come down off the extreme, they balance. It's like, remember I said to you, I'd argue with myself on one side and the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, Azlan, we're talking about leaders in the world, right?
Yeah.
Who are so far from basic fundamental processes of talking someone down off an extreme. Maybe we need to all be taught hostage negotiation skills
in high school.
In high school. And they go, why are we learning this? Like, are we going to be like hostages, or are we going to deal with hostage situations?
Beliefs.
It's like, no, basically, unfortunately, this is the dynamic of human behavior. We need to talk ourselves down from extreme views.
I hope someone from the education system is watching this. But yeah, having that in the curriculum will be refreshing. Something that you look forward to. Imagine you're in class and you're learning all these things that you have to remember, and then you go into this hostage class and it's going to be fun, you know.
And you're learning psychology, human behavior, what makes us
I would love that.
I would love that.
Like, I would love that subject. I can just imagine. I don't have to remember. I don't have to do this math thing. No, I want to learn.
I want to give you guys, like, I was reading this book ages ago on someone who used to be a hostage negotiator, right? For America CIA or FBI, I can't remember. But anyway, he said this, right? This is one of the tactics. When someone makes unreasonable claims on you to do something, like get him a helicopter and $20 million in 10 minutes, like, you know, as an example. But anyone who puts you in a position where they're asking something of you unreasonable, what you do is you just go quiet for a few seconds. You go, are you asking me to do this and then to do that and then to do this in this period of time? And you just go quiet. And what happens is when the person's projecting emotionally onto you their needs, when you bring it back to them slowly, it makes them have to process how reasonable it is. And then it balances them into, yeah, all right, I'll give you a couple of days to get rid of it. Suddenly, they're negotiating in your favor because
without even trying.
Because no one wants to be unreasonable. No one wants to be seen as illogical because it's a weak point. So if you say it back to them, you let their perspective, their own good nature, do the heavy lifting in the negotiation.
That's very smart.
So I wanted to share that with people, because if anyone around you just is asking you something that doesn't even make sense and it's stretching you too thin and it's unreasonable, go, so you want me, knowing that I'm in the middle of moving my house, you want me to drop everything and then go and buy you something that's only 5 minutes down the road from you that you could get yourself to be helpful to you, to help you feel better about yourself.
Wow. That is awesome. I love it. I can see so many applications of this, especially in the project world. Yeah. Because it's unrealistic timelines.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. I love it. All right, guys. I think we have to wrap it up this time.
I think we're done well. Bonus track.
Yeah, bonus track. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys next week. This time for real.
Yeah, we really mean it this time. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now, guys.
Thank you for joining the Reinvent You show.
And remember, don't take yourself or life too seriously.